Am I the a-hole for telling my best friend the real reason I'm not at his wedding? I, 29 male, was supposed to be a groomsman for my best friend, 30 male, as we've been tight since we were kids. This weekend, he's marrying his fiancée, 28 female, who I've known since they were dating long distance in high school. At his bachelor party last weekend, we started off at my place and transitioned to bar hopping, and by the end, my best friend was drunk, and the guys, all of our mutual friends and some of his cousins, were egging him on to do a last kiss before marriage dare. For extra info, I'm not a fan of that custom at bachelors or bachelorettes because it honestly makes it look like you're being held hostage to marry the love of your life. Plus, it's just disrespectful to your partner. But that's just an opinion I have, and to each their own, but I knew my best friend shared it too. I don't agree with this whole, oh, it's like your last hurrah, you can, take that as like a hall pass or whatever. You're about to enter into a marriage with someone else. The last thing that should be on your mind should be disrespecting or betraying that person. I'm just saying. Still, I figured if had be, my best friend wouldn't do it because I know he loves his fiancée very much. To my literal shock and horror, he turned around, grabbed, and kissed me. Oh. That's so awkward. Not even a dumb peck. Like, he actually dipped me and held it for a few seconds until everyone was laughing obnoxiously. What? I didn't kiss back. I just froze and laughed it off when it finished. Later, I realized I wasn't having much fun anymore and bailed early, taking some of our drunker friends home with me. The next day, his fiancée first texted me on Insta, then on WhatsApp asking to talk, and then called me. She wasn't yelling or anything, but it was just kind of awkward. She said she knew about the kiss and that while she didn't love it, she was glad it was me and not some random girl. She said if he'd kissed another woman, she'd have taken it as cheating and dealt with it worse. I agreed and backed her point, saying I wouldn't have encouraged or allowed that. But at the same time, she admitted she didn't feel comfortable with me being at the wedding now either, because it would just be in the back of her head. Okay, no. Let's not get mad and punish the person that literally was just an innocent bystander in all of this and not punish the person that we're about to marry. I don't love that. I was admittedly stunned at first, then mad, then upset, but came to the conclusion that it was her wedding at the end of the day and I told her I got it and wouldn't go. She thanked me for understanding, but also asked me not to tell my best friend that she was the one who asked. Interesting. Side eye. I've already sent the text backing out, giving reasons regarding my work, and my best friend was very upset and asked me if I could back out in any way. I freelance, by the way, and he knows this, so my lie wasn't a good one, and he went from upset to straight up mad at me for bailing out on his wedding day for work. How is it that you're the one that's now in the crossfires? The fiancé is mad at you because her fiancé kissed you. You're not allowed to go to the wedding anymore. And now your best friend who kissed you is mad at you because his fiancé told you that she doesn't want you at the wedding. I'm not understanding how this is somehow all your fault. All our mutuals have texted me in our shared wedding group chat and asked me to reconsider and told me there's no way I'm skipping his wedding for work. I myself manage, some being harsher and some passive aggressive, all very valid. Now I'm stuck looking like the a-hole when I was literally asked not to go and also asked not to say that I was asked not to go. I think that you're in a position where you really need to tell your best friend and he needs to take on some of this responsibility because it's not your responsibility. Everyone around me thinks I'm an asshole for prioritizing work over my best friend's wedding, and I honestly don't know how to navigate this without losing people. Not the a-hole, but bro, don't do this to yourself and come off as the bad guy. He shouldn't have kissed you. That was disrespectful to his fiance, but his fiance shouldn't be asking you not to tell people either. She needs to own her decisions. You are shooting yourself in the foot. Just come clean. Tell another groomsman why you're not coming. It will get back to the groom without you breaking your promise to the bride, who should not have asked you to keep that secret when you're taking the brunt of it. That's shitty of her. I also hate that peer pressure just just one last time thing for the record. I feel like he really has to know what really happened. I don't know. I don't really think that you owe this woman anything. She kicked you out of a wedding when you were kissed without your consent. I don't like what she did at all. I don't like that she's asking you to hide it. I don't like that she's somehow uncomfortable with you being there when you didn't do anything wrong. I don't think you owe her anything. I would text your friend, the groom. I think that I would want to know if my fiance was going around doing stuff like this. Okay, so edit. He just saw the message I sent and is typing. I'll hopefully update once we've properly spoken. Thank you to everyone for giving me such good advice and setting me straight. I'm anxious and hoping this goes well as the wedding is literally this weekend and we have a pre-party I'll have to prepare for if I'm still counted as a groomsman. So we do have an update. After reading through all the comments and some private messages, I realized my approach was wrong and it wasn't fair to him or myself, to be frank, and was honestly making me look like the worst mofo on the planet. So I ended up sending him a long text explaining the actual reasons why, starting from the kiss last weekend to his fiance asking me not to come, because it also very loosely mentioning that she didn't want me to tell him about it. After reading many comments, I did feel like a wuss for complying in the first place, but I don't know, I still felt guilty about it, even telling him and just breaking her trust. He didn't text back for ages, but called me almost immediately when he saw it. Wasn't yelling or anything, but I could hear he was really emotional. First, he apologized like 10 times for the kiss. He thought it would just be a dumb laugh for the guys and didn't realize how much it crossed a line for both me and his fiance. He also never wanted me to feel uncomfortable and admitted he'd been drinking way too much that night. I told him I completely understood and forgave him for that, at least on my end. Then when I told him about his fiance's request, there was a long silence. He just kept repeating, like, she didn't tell me that. She didn't tell me that. I swear she didn't tell me that. And said he wished she'd talk to him directly instead of going around him. And he hated how everything looked. Also said that he had been the one to give her my number, as I had hers but never texted her, but thought it was for some surprise plan or present she was planning on surprising him with. After we talked, his fiance texted me apologizing for putting me in that position, but she still stood by that she personally didn't want me there. The bride said she didn't want to be thinking about that on her wedding day, and while she wasn't mad at me, she needed peace of mind. I still don't understand why she's mad at you. I think she's being pretty unreasonable. To cut a long convo short, I'm going. Oh. My best friend told me he wanted me there, but also said he understood if I didn't want to push it with his fiance, but repeatedly said he wanted me there more than anything. I told him I loved him and supported him and I'd go, and that I was sorry for even considering not going. He cried, I cried like babies, but it ended well enough. Our mutual friends and groomsmen, I'm guessing, are still kind of salty with me because they don't know the real story. I'm not about to spread it around as it's not my relationship and not my drama to share. My best friend did tell me he'll clear the air as soon as possible prior to the wedding, but until then, I'm just gonna take the L on looking like a flaky a-hole. You know, I'm sure there's some people that are like, oh, it's not just a joke. Like, you know, he didn't give consent to the kiss. It's up to OP whether he was uncomfortable with that situation or not. They were drunk. It was supposed to be a joke. I could see it being just a joke. That's me. I think it's very telling that OP isn't uncomfortable to the point where he doesn't want to go to the wedding. I think he knows that it was just a joke and that this guy is just his friend and he was just, you know, like looking for a way to like make his friends laugh while also not cheating on his wife. You know what I mean? Like it was just a joke. Just to clarify a few things that OP said in the comments, the bride knows that he's going to the wedding. Some people are saying, you know, be careful with her. She's going to make her husband choose between her and you and stuff like that. One person said the bride seems a bit unreasonable, and if I'm reading this correctly, she still doesn't want or expect you to be there, so how is this going to end well? And OP said, I don't know. I was hoping to stay out of her way or view to avoid ruining anything more for her. It is the bride's day, but it's also the groom's day too. Quite frankly, as someone who's been to many weddings, if there's enough people, you can avoid people that make you kind of uncomfortable. So little time. Like the day goes by so quickly. There wasn't even really time to be upset about much. It literally just felt like I was just being ushered places and photographs and go here, go there, do this speech, do that. Like, you know, it was just like, there wasn't a lot of time. I feel like she'll be okay. I also don't really think that she has a reason to be mad at you in the first place, OP. But anyways, we do have one more update.
3 days later.
Hi guys. The wedding and pre-party happened last weekend, and I've had a few days to process, so here's the update, as promised. First off, I found out through a bridesmaid messaging me on Instagram why my best friend's fiance reacted the way she did. As it turns out, it wasn't just about the bachelor party kiss. It was about him in general, which I had guessed enough thanks to some of the comments. For context, ever since I've known Andrew, my best friend, he's had a history of being impulsive when drunk. I know this is fairly common. I've had the same issue in high school, but I learned to just drink less and eventually leveled out, but Andrew didn't. Over the years, he's done a bunch of crazy stuff, most of which I'd forgotten or never even knew. The bridesmaid listed examples his fiancé had mentioned, like when he streaked through campus at midnight on a dare no one pushed him into, or when he kissed mutual friends, including me once, during drinking games in high school, and many other things. Nothing that counted as cheating, but enough of a pattern that he's got a reputation for taking jokes and dares too literally. His fiancée, of course, knew a lot about this, and it had been a sore point in their relationship early on. So when the kiss happened with me at the bachelor party, she didn't see it as a one-off joke. She saw it as proof his old habits weren't gone and she panicked. But again, it's still not your fault though. In her mind, if he could do that in front of everyone, then what else might happen? Okay, but then blame him. Don't blame someone else. Don't blame the victim. And because it was me this time, that ever constant part of his life, I became part of the problem. Apparently, Andrew made things bad from the get-go when he got back from the party, as he walked into their hotel room with her and her mom there and blurted out the story very obnoxiously. That pissed her off and made her mom, who's apparently very conservative, very uncomfortable. According to the bridesmaid, her mom clashed with Andrew before, and this was the last thing she wanted to see before her daughter's wedding. That same night, the fiancé and her mom talked, and her mom was the one who pushed the idea that I should quietly back out. She basically told her it would be a bad look to have me standing up there as part of the wedding party, which did explain why I got that message the next morning. In the end, I did go to the pre-party and the wedding. Both went fast, but well and beautifully. The part that did really unexpectedly hurt me after regarding the honeymoon. Many months before I had suggested this one destination I had gone on vacay to when I was younger, and back then they'd both been excited and even asked me for a hotel, restaurants, recs in preparation. After the wedding, I asked Andrew when they were leaving, and he kind of hesitated before saying they'd changed plans to somewhere completely different. I was very surprised, but to be honest, we just laughed about it and closed it up with me saying, oh well, and wished them a great time. With more thought, I realized that it's another way of cutting me out and my influence, and it was the point that the reality of it was coming down on me. It's been a few days, and I've driven back home. I've just conceded. While I'm glad I went, I'm not very hopeful for our friendship being the same. It won't be. She's definitely gonna make her husband choose between you. I'm glad that you still went though, and that everything was okay at the wedding. It didn't end up being a big deal, hopefully. I wouldn't be surprised if your friendship gets a little bit less close. I love Andrew dearly, and I really do love his wife too, and I understand why things turned out this way, but I wish I hadn't been the one involved. Drama is very fun to dive into when it isn't you, and that is a fact. I do want to be clear that the blame is on Andrew. While I don't think I deserve to be put in this position, I also believe they, his wife and her mom, tried their best to treat me fairly even when it was hard for them. I also do forgive them, and I'm hoping to move forward even if the friendship I had with him for 20 years probably won't ever look the same. You kind of explaining what led to you getting kicked out of the wedding, it doesn't change anything. She's still blaming you for the fact that she doesn't like her now husband's behavior. It's not your fault. I hope you know that. We got some more best friend wedding drama for you, which is honestly the best kind of wedding drama. But like OP in the last story said, it's better when it's not happening to you. Would I be the a-hole if I refused to attend my best friend's wedding because she's making guests pay for everything? I, 28 female, have been best friends with Emily, 29 female, for over a decade. I've seen her through every breakup, job change, and finding herself phase. So when she told me she was finally getting married, I was genuinely thrilled for her. At first, everything sounded fine until the wedding planning started, turning into a full-blown money pit for everyone but her. Emily's having a destination wedding in Amalfi, Italy, which already means thousands in flights and hotels. I expected that. What I didn't expect was a Google Doc titled Wedding Guest Contributions. Oh no. It had a detailed breakdown of costs that she's expecting each guest to cover.
What?
Side eye. $300 for the rehearsal dinner, mandatory apparently. $250 for group activities like boat tours and wine tastings. $150 for wedding attire coordination. She wants everyone in matching pastel tones for her photo shoot. $100 wedding gift fund. Yes, she literally made a minimum gift contribution. Oh my goodness. I am very sorry, not sorry, but if you are having a destination wedding, that's coming out of your pocket, honey. When I told her I couldn't swing that much, especially after travel costs, she brushed it off with, everyone's chipping in, it's not that big of a deal, love requires effort. The effort is already you traveling to a very hard to get to destination in Italy, I might add. Like Amalfi Coast is like, it's at least 2 flights plus a car, which is very expensive. Like if you're taking like a private car, which is usually the only way that you can even get to Amalfi, because you can only drive like all those little like twists and turns that go through the mountains. You have to like literally go through highways that are through the mountains. You either get there by bus or car, but either way, it's literally hours of travel. I wouldn't be surprised if that was like an 18 to 20 hour travel day. So the love is already there by you paying for flights, hotels, other travel costs, the inevitable cost of being somewhere like Italy. The love is already there. You as a host are responsible for paying for your wedding and treating your guests to a wonderful night. My goodness. Meanwhile, she's been posting on Instagram nonstop about her new designer handbag. Ooh, nope. Luxury spa days and even a bachelorette trip to Paris. Oh, the audacity. I love it when people pinch pennies and expect their friends to like front the cost, but then they're going balls to the wall and spending like crazy and buying designer shit. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the money that's being given to her for her wedding is going to all of this, which she covered all fully for herself, but expected the bridesmaids to split her fiancé's flight. At this point, it doesn't even feel like she wants to celebrate love. It feels like she wants to fund a lifestyle while draining everyone's pockets. I told her I might not be able to make it, and she got cold, saying she expected more loyalty. No, she's treating you like a piggy bank, babe. And that real friends support each other's dreams. No. You want to have a destination wedding? You pay for it. If someone gets you a gift on top of that, awesome. But otherwise, nobody owes you anything. Like, no. Don't get me wrong, I love her, but I'm starting to feel completely taken advantage of. That's because you are being taken advantage of. I've supported her through everything, but I can't justify going into debt for her aesthetic wedding lifestyle. So would I be the a-hole if I told her I'm not coming because I refuse to pay thousands for someone else's big day? You're already paying thousands for someone else's big day. You're taking the time off work, you're flying, you're staying in hotels. Amalfi's expensive, okay? Like you're literally traveling around only by car and they are taking advantage of the tourists. You are already committing to pay thousands without having to fund her wedding. This is unacceptable. You would not be the a-hole. Unfortunately, when you have a destination wedding, and I've said this before, you have to be okay with people not being able to afford it. Just baseline, like even just like taking the time off work, you know, like some people really can't do that. Unfortunately, gotta be okay with it. And if she really wanted you there, or any of her guests, frankly, she wouldn't be doing this. This is Bridezilla territory, like for real. This is crazy. It is already such a privilege to host your friends and family in a beautiful destination. It is your responsibility as the host of a wedding to pay for the dinner, for the drinks, for the pre-party, for wedding favors. You're hosting, okay? It is not a potluck. I wouldn't pay to attend many things, but especially a wedding. OP said, exactly, I mean, it's her day and I'm literally her best friend. Why should she demand my loyalty in such a manner? I want to be there for her, but not at the cost of my budget. No, she's demanding loyalty of you, but where's your loyalty? Not the a-hole, and send your regrets and move on. She's being absurd. She is. I've only heard of brides doing this like a few times, and almost every single time it makes it to the internet because it's not okay. Like, where did you get this idea that it would be okay to do this to your guests? Like, that's so ridiculous. No friend would do that to other friends, period. This isn't a wedding, it's a charity ball. If a bride wants a dream wedding of a specific style, they pay for it themselves. That's on period. I had my wedding near Amalfi this year. We paid for everything except people's flights and hotel. We even hired a shuttle to run from hotel to venue. Yes, we also did this. Because you are hosting, you want to make sure people get home safe. You want to make sure that people are not inconvenienced by the situation. You want people to think about your wedding and just love every moment. Oh my gosh, I've heard horror stories about weddings like, you know, like not having heaters and like it poured rain and it was freezing cold and people didn't have places to sit. It's so inconsiderate. It's actually shocking to me. If you're gonna plan an event, take care of people. It's the least you can do. Otherwise, have a smaller event or elope. The one that gets me the most is $300 for the rehearsal dinner per person. What kind of extravagant dinner is that? Your friend is acting entitled. You should turn down the invitation, save your money, and find a new best friend. So would you be the a-hole if I refused to attend my best friend's wedding because she's making guests pay for everything? No, come on, you don't even need to ask that. My childhood's best friend's wedding was the worst. I was a bridesmaid in my childhood best friend's wedding. I wasn't expecting it to be such a scheisse show, but it was the worst 24 hours of wedding festivity I've ever experienced. Oh Lord, no. She was not a bridezilla at all and let us choose our own dresses in the color she chose, which was great. My parents were invited, as was my family, husband and kids, but since we lived 8 hours away, I opted to go with my mom and dad and leave my kids and husband at home. So my dad drove me and dropped me off at a hotel the night before the rehearsal, and I rode to the venue with another bridesmaid. We were supposed to stay at the venue the night before the wedding since it was about 40 minutes outside the city and in the middle of nowhere. I got to the rehearsal lunch and it was on the lawn outside of the venue and there was a potluck set up. Okay, that's fine. I get that not everyone has a huge budget. We do the rehearsal and eat this weird potluck meal. And then the bride says to all the 6 bridesmaids,
"Don't forget to make yourself a plate for dinner and go put it in the fridge inside."
I was immediately taken aback, but I followed directions without objecting. That night, we were supposed to be having her bachelorette party. So I was expecting to go out or at least order in a meal. But instead, we had funky potluck leftovers. Okay, fine, whatever. It was one meal, so I moved on. Then we all have to help set up tables outside, and my friend says,
"I need you guys to make your bouquets, prepare food for tomorrow, and iron the tablecloths and set up chairs and tables."
I'm sorry, what? Oh, you the hired help, honey. We spent 6 hours working our asses off and my back was screaming after ironing these cloths with her sister. Oh, no, no, no. Again, I get that budgets can be tight, but there was no warning that we were going to be put to work and I was in a mini dress and heels doing hard labor and moving furniture. Wow, the fact that she didn't even tell you, that's crazy. It's one thing if like people offer, it's an entirely different thing to be like, hey, show up.
By the way, you need to do all the hard labor.
Her husband-to-be and his white trash friends left right after rehearsal and stayed in a hotel and got trashed. Not a scrap of help from them. Come 8 p.m., we were all exhausted, but we rallied and ate our crusty potluck food while the 7 of us shared a solitary bottle of champagne. It was nice to catch up and chat. The morning of the wedding, we all got dressed and did our makeup, and then the other bridesmaids started freaking out because they didn't know how to do their hair. And the bride said we all needed to try to do something with our hair. Oh my goodness. As a mom of 2 daughters, I stepped in and did the hair of the 4 bridesmaids and had to scramble to do my own before the ceremony. The bride had a hairstylist and makeup artist come in. If she had offered, I gladly would have paid to have mine done, but it was not an option at that point. The ceremony was fine, but I was just ready to go home. Then we get to the reception. They brought in a barbecue truck to provide the food, which was forgettable. And they had a bar, but I was told that we had to pay for our drinks. Again, okay, that's fine. I'll buy my own damn Pinot Grigio. Then I see the groomsmen getting progressively more tanked, and they are at the bar every 5 minutes. I asked the bride what was up with that, and she said,
"Oh, my new husband paid for his groomsmen to have an open bar."
Okay, so the groom paid for his friends to drink, but the bride did not pay for you guys to drink. Am I understanding that? These dudes were being so nasty, and it was throwing the vibes off massively. The bridesmaids and I danced and enjoyed ourselves as best we could with our self-purchased drinks, and then finally, it's time for the bride and groom to leave. A huge limo rolls up, and the bride is shocked. She says,
"Oh my gosh, my parents said they had a surprise for us."
She then informed me that since I'd moved away, her mom and dad had become multimillionaires because they invested in properties all over town so they could afford the limo. I asked tactfully if they had been the ones who paid for the wedding, and she said,
"Oh yeah, all of it. They're loaded."
"You could have fooled me." So why were you the hired help then? Doesn't sound like they paid for much. The bride and groom rode away, and then her parents came up to the wedding party and said it's time to tear down. The groomsmen were blitzed and sinking away, and the other bridesmaids and I were so pissed. Do not give people a reason to feel this way about your wedding. I swear to God. I finally just said no. I had my parents there at this time, so I hopped in their car and hightailed it out of there. It was the worst wedding I have ever been to, and it made me so angry to find out that her parents are loaded and they didn't feel like paying for their youngest child to have a nice wedding. I mean, maybe they did pay for some things, or maybe she pocketed some of the money. Maybe the bride is just bragging, but I just find it weird how they're so rich and they couldn't have paid for someone to iron the tablecloths or like pay for like a decent meal for you guys. Like, come on. She's somehow still married to her husband, but I hate him so much. They came to visit my family a few years ago and he kept pulling my dog's tail, which confirmed my suspicions that he's an a-hole. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this story. It felt good to get it off my chest. Remember, folks, if you can pay for help on a special day, don't be an a-hole and cheap out. There is no excuse. I'm sorry. If you can't afford a big wedding or even a rehearsal dinner, then don't have one, okay? Don't make your friends and family do it for you. Like, geez. If they offer, then great. They just show up expecting to like have fun. No, by the way, you guys are doing the hard labor. Have fun. Save some juice for the end where you gotta tear everything down. Okay, OP answered some questions. No, they aren't friends anymore. Her parents did not give her extra money from whatever budget you all think there was. They are literally just cheap as hell. I'm not AI. I'm a basic white bitch who likes Pinot Grigio. Pinot Grigio is from Italy, which I also enjoy, but Pinot Gris is from France. Okay, noted, sorry. I thought it was Gris was short for Grigio. And this is a photo from the wedding to prove that it's not AI with her Pinot Gris. Look at this comment. I fully agree with this. I can't believe she made the bridesmaids do all the work and then the groomsmen get free drinks and you don't. That is so impolite. It really is. That is so embarrassing. Oh my God. How are you not embarrassed? It's like when you ask someone to help you move, you know what I mean? You ask people to help you move. I'm sorry, you better have some nice cold beer in the fridge for those people, okay? That's the least you can do. They better get all your free stuff. All the stuff that you don't want to take with you when you move, they better get it. Normally, I don't like this whole like tacky wedding thing. Like tacky aesthetics or whatever. Like I don't like to judge people's wedding aesthetic or wedding choices. But this is absolutely tacky. Absolutely. Tasteless, tacky, and impolite. Do not ever do this, please, if you're planning a wedding. Please. Or you'll end up in one of my videos. Subscribe!